teams to get in, first team to sign a pro before the game even came out, before we played the beta. Brax was a pro. And just to start off on Brax, to see him, retire, obviously incredibly disappointing. I'm not disappointed in him. I'm just sad that this is how it's turned out for him, right? Like, he's always kind of been NA's secret hope, ace in the hole, whatever you want to call it. And it just never came to fruition in this game, right? We all wanted it. We were all wanting to believe in it, but it just wasn't meant to be. And for the T1 roster, it's a mess. I mean, it truly is, because you don't know what you have in Skadoodle. You don't even know if you really have Skadoodle, honestly. Spider has never really seemed to fit in with this group, and it was kind of an odd pickup at that point in time. And then you got Automatic, like you mentioned, the guy that's just kind of been around the world when it comes to Counter-Strike, and now here we are in Valorant. It's just, he's always seems to be missing a key ingredient to go along with him. And so hopefully that key ingredient is curry, because sometimes you just throw a little spice on it and it works out. But it's just such a wait and see. It's such a project. It's just never hit, and we're waiting and we're waiting and we're waiting. And I don't know if we'll ever really see an end result that any of us are truly happy with, unless it's almost a clear roster wipe.
Well, and you almost think, though, maybe, I don't know if Steel would do this, but now that Steel is a free agent, Dazed is off this team, which was part of the reason why he wasn't on the original side anyways, because Steel and Dazed have said multiple times they won't be teammates again. Maybe they could convince him. Now, Steel, I think, his stock is high enough to where he deserves a better team. Like, I don't think he wants to go on a, like you just said, a project team. But if the money's there and it makes sense, like, the names would at least look pretty together.
Yeah, but you got to think, like, did they choose Dazed over Steel to begin with? And if they did, how is that going to feel coming back in, unless you want to come back in and be the hero, right? And that's your plan and you're okay with that. But they did choose Dazed over him ultimately to form that team. So I don't know. I just don't know how that would sit.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. We have a lot of time between now and Champs and the next big event. Brax has a lot of time now to ponder if he'll ever come back to the pro scene. We've seen him do this before where, he'll retire, do content, come back. He's gone back and forth on that. So, I guess I'll believe it when I see he's only 25. He's only 25, and it definitely seems like a guy that maybe once he takes a step back, recoups, he'll get back into it. So we'll see. I think
it's more likely that we see him make a return to CS at this point rather than come back in Valorant, honestly.
Even with still technically being banned?
Are they, or did that get finally uplifted after they all left? I thought after they all left, then Valve changed the
then Valve was like, "Oh, never mind, we don't care anymore."
Yeah, but it doesn't matter now. It doesn't matter. It will truly move. I could see them doing that, but I still think it's more likely that we see him make a return to CS than in Valorant. Like in Valorant, we still we never saw it work out. Like, we all wanted it to work out, but it didn't. So I don't know. I wouldn't mind seeing him go back to CS and maybe try to revive the NA scene, join Complexity, build a little squad over there. But that's wishful thinking. We'll see.
We'll see. We will see, as well as you will see, more collegiate Valorant action here with Philly Esports. Follow us on Twitter at The Center Ring for more esports podcast goodness. And again, stick it right here with Philly Esports for more Valorant goodness.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Philly Esports 10K Collegiate Valorant Showdown. And we have a little bit of an update for you. Sorry for keeping you waiting. Rome, what is the situation?
Yeah, so just for everybody wondering about the delay, we do apologize. Unfortunately, the University of Florida has been disqualified for violating the competitive integrity of the tournament, so they won't continue competing today. Instead, University of Houston Premier, who they faced in the previous round, will fill in for them. Right now, we're just trying to get those players together since they did think they were eliminated to match up against Blinn Esports. So that is the matchup that you'll see next, University of Houston Premier versus Blinn Esports. So we apologize for the delay.
Yes, of course, sometimes these circumstances are unforeseen, but no worries. We do have a little bit of a timer on how long it is going to take before the next match does kick off, and it's estimated to be just around half an hour. So don't worry, we are going to be seeing the University of Houston go up against Blinn Esports, and it's going to be great. But unfortunately, this is going to be the end of me and Rome casting this. So Rome, where can people find you on Twitter?
Yeah, just at RomeCasts. I just tweet terrible things, so if you're into that, feel free to follow.
And for myself, I'm at MarcusWong3. If you enjoyed this cast, then I would highly recommend following both of us. But of course, if you've enjoyed this show that Philly Esports has been putting on so far, then you're going to want to make sure to follow the channel as well, because, well, they run a bunch of other different tournaments every single month, and it's always going to be a great time. Also, too, want to give a shout out to Chitago, who's going to continue on production and observing. But unfortunately, it's going to be the end of me and Rome casting today's matches. Rome, do you have anything left for us to say?
Yeah, the casters that are coming up next are great too. You guys will have a great time and some good matchups coming up too. We'll see what University of Houston Premier can do coming back from the dead. So it should be an interesting one.
Yeah, forget the fact that spooky season is over. They will be rising, much like zombies, except they're going to be giving it their all. And we want to make sure to give them a shout out as well for being able to assemble their team really quickly. Once again, they weren't expecting to play today, but they've pulled it all together in order to give you guys another match. So we appreciate the patience during this time, but thank you so much for tuning in with us. And with that, Rome, I think we're done for today.
I think we are. Thanks, everybody.
All right, make sure to stick around half an hour, and then we're going to be back with the University of Houston Premier versus Blinn Esports. Thanks for tuning, everyone.
Welcome back to another Pro Scene update with the Center Ring Esports podcast. My name is Tim. He is Anuj. Anuj, let's talk some champs. It has been a long time coming. Iceland feels like years ago, but we're finally here. This whole year of the first Pro Scene of Valorant has led up to this moment. So let's talk about some teams we want to watch, some teams we're looking forward to, maybe a little bit of predictions. I will start off by saying this. At the beginning of the year, the discussion was, is Sentinels a dynasty? Which we even said on the show. It's a little silly. Let's pump the brakes on this. Because, and I'm glad everyone did kind of pump the brakes, the rest of the scenes I feel like have caught up to Sentinels. Not saying Sentinels have dropped off or they're not still the favorites going into it, but what we've seen leading up to it is they are not like the automatic put all your money on Sentinels.
No, and I think everyone's going to feel that way because of the last event, right? Like they didn't come out on top. We saw them struggle, lose to teams like G2 and ultimately, getting knocked out of the event. So when they're not coming in off of a win, it's going to be hard to say they still have this huge gap that they had before. Obviously, it's been narrowed. However, I still think they're the favorite going into this event, right? Like they've done enough to show me that they can at least compete with anybody on any given day, and more than likely they're better than anybody on any given day. So I still think they're the favorites going into this event. It's just not a guarantee anymore. It's definitely not the lock that it was. I think a team like Gambit has shown that their play style and having such an effective, a cipher from Nats and the rest of these guys. Like I think it's definitely closer. Like there's definitely competition from EU as well as the NA side. I think NA is the biggest threat to NA, but EU is right there with the teams that they have representing them.
As far as an offshoot team from an offshoot region that I'm interested in, I would like to see Crew perform well. We've seen them just dominate the Latin American scene, and we've seen them in these VCT finals and perform. Like it's always like they're right there. Like they've kind of have that international experience compared to some of these teams. Like hell, even Fnatic, right? We didn't see them qualify for Berlin, so even Fnatic's been kind of on the back burner a little bit here. Crew is a team that I have a soft spot for, just seeing them perform. You could put Crazy Raccoons in that same category for me.
I'm in a little bit of a different boat here, and like hopefully people don't take this the wrong way. I don't give any other region outside of NA and EU a chance at winning this event. They just haven't shown enough in either of the VCT events to make me believe that they're a real contender. Like right now, your region has spots, and so you have representation. But I think they still have the gap has narrowed between NA and EU, and I think the rest of the regions are still playing catch up. That's including Brazil, that's including Korea, Japan. Like I still think they have some catching up to do, and I'm excited to see them get another opportunity because they don't get as many, right? They're not playing in those regions where the biggest teams are, but they do have to step up on one of these stages, right? Like VCT Iceland, VCT Berlin, we saw, I think, a slight uptick, a slight performance increase, but not enough to say that they had a chance at winning it. And I believe that's the same for champs. Like I really have a list of teams, and they're both from NA and EU that I think are real contenders at this moment, but I'm excited for these regions to get an opportunity to prove themselves once again.
I'm interested to see where some of these last chance teams perform. Mainly NA and EU, like you were saying, Cloud9 and Liquid, to where especially with Cloud9, but we haven't seen them perform very often on international events, if ever. So I'm curious to see, like, this is their biggest stage yet. Like they've somehow, them and Liquid kind of went, Liquid had Iceland, but with Cloud9's kind of been underneath that radar for a very long time, and now to all of a sudden pop up in champs. I don't know if you can say they're maybe playing with house money, but I feel like if you're just an NA team playing Valorant at this moment, you have the target on your back. Doesn't matter if you're Cloud9, doesn't matter if you're Sentinels or Envy, right? Envy's having a new coach. They have Chet, so we'll see how that maybe shapes up for them. We'll see. But if you're NA, I think you automatically have a target on your back.
No, I definitely agree with you. If you are Cloud9 and you're Liquid, you're looking at yourself as one of the favorites to win this event. Regardless of how you made it into the event, you're there. And both of these teams have the ability to win it. Like I even with Cloud9, like you said, they've kind of been this dark horse this whole time. They've always been pretty good. Just they've never been great yet, right? Like even in their early days with tens, they were considered a top team with Relics and some of these guys that were on there. Now we've seen them completely revamp, and once again, I got a lot of faith in them. Like they looked really good in last chance qualifiers. I mean, especially in the championship game where they showed so much confidence and came out with a 3-0 victory over Rise. So I think if you're Liquid, if you're Cloud9, you don't care that you're coming in on this last hope opportunity that you had. You made it, and now you were looked at as one of the top 5-6 teams in this event easily, in my mind.
All right, real quick then, give me your prediction. Just winner, straight up winner.
Damn, dude, it's so hard to bet against Sentinels. Like it really, really is, and I'm gonna take the NA in me and say Sentinels. I do think Sentinels is still the top team. They have the best jet player in the world, whether that's Shazam or Tens at any given time. One of the best in-game leaders in Shazam. Solid 5 all the way around. If you want to ask me for a dark horse team, my second team, because I would like to give one just because Sentinels seems so obvious, is I would ride with Liquid. I think Liquid's a dangerous team, and I think a connection of brothers, man. You never know. You never know, and sometimes that can be something special, and I'm kind of hoping to see that. It would make a great storyline.
I agree, Sentinels does seem like an obvious pick, unless, Anuj, you are a Cloud9 fanboy like myself, and then Cloud9 seems like the obvious pick. I think Cloud9 is going to run the tables. I don't think they're going to drop a match, let alone even a map. I think if they give up, I would say more than 3 maps this entire event, it's a disappointment. So I think Cloud9 will run the tables, easiest win of their life. They might not even let them play after this because there'll be such an unfair advantage. So
you thought you would never get to do this bit again based on what's been going on in Counter-Strike, and you found a way. You found a way, and you took it.
There's no bit.
I'm happy you went this route.
There's no bit. I've ran the numbers. I've crunched data, and it's not a bit. I truly see that. That's what the numbers are telling me. So anyways, there it is. Give us your predictions in chat for champs. It's coming up here in just a little under a month. Stick it right here with Philly Esports for more Valorant action. For more of us, if you are interested, follow at the Center Ring. We post weekly esports podcasts about all things esports. So again, stick it right here with Philly Esports for more Valorant action coming up next.